What's going on, fam? I'm out here hard on the yard today, man. I'm patching up my bulls, patching up my studs. A couple of the studs got into it overnight. I got a few females in heat, going in heat. Sometimes that makes the studs what you call it, aggressive in competition. I guess it's natural. But it did happen, so I got some things, some stuff I had from my horses that I used to use to heal my horses up. It works real good for my bullies, man, so I keep that around too, as well as all my other little stuff that I have for bullies, peroxide, iodine, a few other things. But anyway, when I was doing the stuff with the horses, it kind of reminded me of how I started, and I had people ask me how I started, so I wanted to kind of tell that story of how we actually started breeding bullies. It's a good story, and it's for a reason. Because I used to breed horses. I used to breed walking horses. I had a stud that I was studding out. And it's real hard. They about 1,200 pounds at least, and, you know, you mess around. One wrong move, it might kill you, just because they're so excited to breed. But it was exciting, and I had some good horses, and one in particular, I had a horse named Show Out. Was a real good horse, but he was a real good stud too. You couldn't, and I lived across the street from a farm that had about 9 mares on it, so he was pretty much at his wit's end all the time with that. So, but anyway, about 6-7 years ago, I retired. I'm a military veteran, disabled vet, and I decided to do this. My mom died from COVID, and she left us $10,000 apiece for me and my brothers and sisters. So I wanted to do something with the internet. She loved the internet and social media, and I wanted to do something that could keep producing, something I could use my land for, because I had bought this land and new house and everything, a couple acres, so I wanted to do something that I could produce on my land. And I like dogs anyway. And compared to the horses, it was a no-brainer, because the dogs don't eat half as much as the horse. When somebody tells you you eat like a horse, they really said something to you. Because horses don't do nothing but eat all day long. A stud horse does not need to be out in the field. No horse really needs to be out in the field. You would think a horse wants to run around and all that stuff. They really don't. They just really, the only reason they moving is because there's some more grass in the next step. You know, so the studs, I just keep them hay right there. They're going to sit right there in that position all day eating. That's what they do. But anyway, compared to that, the dogs were so much cheaper. But anyway, one of my cousins had a pair of bullies, and he was breeding. And one day I went over his house for something else, and I seen a bully puppy tied up to the front porch. I didn't know nothing about bullies at the time, but it kind of looked like a Rottweiler. It was, you know, black with the red spots over the eye. It looked just like a Rottweiler, but it was real short, really bow-legged, muscle, and I thought that was real cool, the bow-leggedness of it. So went in and talked to him, and we made a deal, and I bought it, and bought it home, had papers and everything. He never did anything right with it. But I bought her home, and that was my dog, Roxy. Try Roxy. And when I retired and I bought this house, I didn't know nothing about taking care of dogs the right way. My dog, I was always growing up doing it the way that we did it in the country, and my dogs just ran wild. I mean, I have a fenced-in yard, so I didn't have any thought of kenneling them up. They loose. And a couple days, she got loose, and there was a big 100-pound pit bull, what they said was out there. And people was coming to me, Juice, I seen your dog, man. She was out walking around. I tried to go get her, but it was a 100-pound pit bull with her. But come to find out, that was an all-white XL bully that was with her. And she was kind of a micro. She was about 13 inches maybe. But she was with that all-white XL Bully, and I could not run him away. I shot at that dog. I chased him with sticks. I did everything. So one day he got hit by a car or something, and he came limping back. He landed on the front porch, and my wife went out and seen him. And he would protect my wife when she was out on the yard. He didn't even know us, but she'd be out doing the yard work and everything, and he'd be right by her side. You couldn't do nothing. And, you know, he was very protected that way, but he didn't like kids. Long story. But anyway, she convinced me that he needed a place to stay, which is the oddest part of the story, because that's not my wife at all. But she convinced me that he needed a place to stay, and I let him stay. And they bred with my female, and it ended up having some very good looking pups that I didn't have papers on. So I put them on Craigslist. They was good looking pups anyway, so I put them out, and people wanted them, and they did real good. And somebody seen them. He said, man, he said, where you get that dog from? I said, the dog just wandered up over here. He said, man, I think that's my brother's dog. So I said, where's your brother's dog? I said, you better come on in. Tell your brother come on and come get it then, man. If it's your dog, I ain't tripping, but you need to come get him because I'm feeding him. He messing with my daughter, messing with kids. Come pick him up if it's yours. So they come through. And my cousin thought that they was lying. He said, that ain't their dog, man. They just trying to get a dog freed off from you, man. I said, well, one thing I know for sure, that if that's not their dog, he finna act a daggum fool. I didn't even know the dog's name. I named him Bubba, I think, because I didn't know his name. But if you didn't know Bubba, he would act a fool. So I said, okay, let them come over and play, and if they want to, that dog is going to go crazy. So I was sitting there. I'm sitting there waiting to see if that's going to happen. That was going to tickle me because I got a big gate. He wasn't going to be able to get out and get him. But, yeah, you're not going to be able to okie-doke him. I already knew that. But when the guy got there, he said something, and the dog just kind of melted and went to him. I said, yeah, that's his dog. But that's how I found out that was a real bully. He sent me papers and pictures of the dog as a puppy to prove to me that it was his dog. So I found out that was a real bully. So just by some chance, I was able to get another bully, man, and make some bullies. But during the process, I made a little money, and I kind of got interested in it because I like bullies, and I wanted to do it again. So I went and started looking for bullies to do it right, to get some papers and do it right. I wanted to go get me a mail, get some papers and do it right. But I couldn't find really anything that was really nice looking. Still didn't know anything about structure, but I couldn't find anything that I thought was a real deal. And I found out that my dog's bow-leggedness was a defect. When I started talking to other breeders and showing her, they were saying that she might have rickets or something like that. She wasn't a good thing at all. It was a terrible thing. So I thought I had a good dog. I now had a bad dog. So now I'm looking for a whole camp of bullies. And I couldn't find the females. Along the way, I'm learning structure. I'm learning how to pick the pup, what's the good litter. I'm learning how to look at the parents to even know to go look at the litter. I'm learning a lot. I'm talking to a lot of breeders. I'm going to shows. And I came to the conclusion that to do what I needed to do what I wanted to do, I was going to have to make them. And if I could, because along that time I found King Creed. Yeah, that's a whole different thing. I was looking for females, and I found King Creed. I heard about this dog jumping 6-foot fences up in Long Grove. That's about 3 hours from me. So I went up to get the females, a blue and white female, real nice looking female. But when I got there, King Creed was there. Whoever was supposed to get him had left him there, messed up the deposit. And I knew he didn't look like nothing impressive. He just was, something about him looked right. And what I found out is that his structure was right, and I seen that. And he turned out to be the straightest dog I ever seen. So from that point, I was off trying to get some females went, and I went through the exotic thing, because at the time that I was trying to do mine and get everything started, the trend was small merle bullies, you know, small as possible, small as, not too much like now, but it was really kicking off back then. So nobody wouldn't even, you couldn't. That's why I found my camp pretty swell. After a minute, I found my camp, because they didn't want these type of dogs. They wanted them little bitty dogs. So that's why I got King Creed, and I was able to go get Black Widow. When I got Black Widow, see the logo, and it was on. So the whole point of me even starting this camp was to make a right structured bully that I thought it should be. And it turned out to be way harder than I thought, but we pulled it off. And now we got a full camp of bullies, man. We ain't gonna never stop. So if you ain't did it by now, you need to come on out the bench for the big win and get you something hard cut, man. It's on.